Hello. We're now at a point where we are basically the halfway point of the course. As you well know by now, we have 12 weeks of lecture, plus you have this final exam period. This is the end of week 6. And I wanted to take a little bit of time from lecture today and just talk about a few things about the course, administration. So this is largely important. Is it announcements? Not necessarily, because there's nothing in here that you don't already know. But these are some reminders, and this is the sort of thing I would do if we were live in a classroom, in fact. It's things that I'm seeing and I want to talk about and reinforce with you. It shouldn't take too long. All right. So one of the things I want to talk first about is balance. And this idea is balance between 342 and your other courses. All right. There is an expectation that you have steady work in 342. And I talked about this at the beginning of the course, and this is just a reminder. The course is structured differently than a regular course. There is a steady stream of work expected, but in other words, that the implication of that is that you cannot stop or put off work in 342 for other courses. I had a small exchange with during sprint planning with one of the teams where, during sprint 2, we've got a lot of things happening in our other courses. And it's like, yes. And you know what? You have a lot happening in this course too. You just got to balance it, okay? But you can't balance it perhaps in the way that you're used to, which is, I'm just not going to do something here for a while and then I'll pick it back up again. You need to find a way to put forth a steady amount of work, okay? And the idea being is that you need to do a reasonable amount of work each day or every other day, something like that. So it's got to be, you got to keep it coming, or every other day. Okay. And by what's the notion of reasonable? It's just a reminder, by the way, that you need to keep in mind that you officially have in this course, 3 hours lecture. You have officially 3 hours of lab every week. Plus your normal notion on any course that you would have of working on homework. That's in this course, you're working on your project. We've got some quizzes for you each week. Hopefully they aren't taking too long. And we're going to have 2 tests. We're going to have a test at the end of sprint 2 and at the end of the course. And then we'll also have some, plus there'll be some feedback and some small exercises on those. That's really it. I'm not going to have any great reports being written or anything like that. There's no hidden stuff. You've seen everything that's going to happen is in the gradebook and Learn. Okay, so we've outlined it all and how the points we think we're going to have it, and I'm pretty certain I'm not going to change them, although I reserve the right to change them if necessary. Now, this 3-hour lab, yeah, that's a lot of time. And yes, that's what the course officially is. So when you hold, like on Monday, let's say you have a stand-up and you started at 10:30. Let's say you're done with your stand-up in 15 minutes. And then you're like, I got to go do data mining. And you go off and you do data mining. Well, where's the rest of that lab period being spent? Okay, that's not sometimes part of it comes from the sprint planning. Oh yeah, sprint planning was actually 2 hours. And so that's kind of spreads out. So some of it's in sprint planning, some of it's with, maybe your retrospective, and some of it's with your sprint review. But it is there. You got to do it, all right? And then on top of that's sort of that 3 hours of lab that you might not have in another course where you only have 1 hour of tutorial. Yeah, you've got the homework, okay? And the quizzes and things, and all these are normal. Is 342 a lot of work? Yes, it is. It's a software development course. It's an information systems course. You're coding. It's unbelievable at times how long some things can take, okay? But the idea is a reasonable amount of work. What is reasonable? Outside of all this, outside of your lecture, your lab, your quizzes, tests, and the feedback or whatever, this sort of the project, the homework portion, you probably don't measure it in your other courses. Some of you might, but, the norm, we're going to strike, because this is a software course, yeah, it's probably about 7 hours or so a week. And you're like, oh, I'm putting in way more than that. Well, don't, okay? You have an entire team of people, okay? You've got 6 to 7 people on these teams. If everyone is putting forth their effort appropriately, in addition to all the time that you would spend in lab and all these other meetings, you should still be able to make good progress, all right? You shouldn't have to kill yourself to deliver the project. I want a reasonable amount of work consistently delivered over the course of 4 sprints. I'm not looking for you to injure yourself, to wipe yourself out, but it's not a trivial amount of work either, okay? One of the advantages that we've done is by moving this course from 3B to 3A is that in 3B you have MSci 332, which is your next optimization course, and it's pretty serious and tough. And so we used to have 332 and 342 and 3B, and it really sort of overwhelmed people. Now we've got 342 in 3A, and we've kind of spread that load out for you. But it's still going to be work. So what's the implication of that? Is I just want to spell it out. Is that what happens is if you put off, so you might well choose. You're like, I don't care. I'm not going to listen to you. If you put off dev work, what happens though is your sprint will be more likely to explode on you at the end of the sprint. And this is a scenario where basically people have put off work. They try to get it all done in a couple of days or the day before their sprint review, and it's a disaster. And then we have people yelling at each other, which of course, thankfully, you're all remote, and so you won't be able to really yell that loudly at each other, but you might write in all caps or something in a text message or an email. But basically, to get your software delivered and to have it nicely integrated, it's going to take time. You're going to want to do it in little bits and pieces with these pull requests and reviews, and keep putting it together and making sure it's all working. You put it off, and if you're like, oh, we're just going to hold these stand-ups to get the stand-ups done, and then we'll get all the dev work done later. Oh, we're going to manipulate this or that. Well, one, we're going to see how the dev work comes in, because everything goes into GitHub. All the commits, all the pull requests, they're all time-stamped. We get to see is the work coming in over time or not. So you're not going to be able to fake that. And yeah, we'll see what happens at the end of the sprint when we have these reviews and we look at the dev work. Don't do this to yourself. The recipe for success is a steady amount of reasonable work, okay, from everyone on the team. So with that in mind, I also want to remind you, like, please, don't do this sort of thing where you attempt. So do not manipulate sprint planning to be able to basically say we're going to do a lot less work in this sprint. We're going to make those story points more on these stories. Yeah, don't do that. You want to do a good, proper job, okay? The idea is if you are doing a reasonable amount of work and you're estimating well, you'll find the right velocity for your team, and then you'll be able to judge the capacity correctly on the next sprint and do another reasonable set of work. Don't be like, I got a lot of other work in my other courses this sprint. Let's change this, because you're just going to get more and more work in your other courses. What we're aiming for in 342 here is a steady amount of work, controlled so that things don't go out of hand for you. So sometimes there's teams who really have this idea that they're like, there's some vision in their mind, vision of done on the project, like it's going to be good enough, they think that I'm going to get the must-haves done. So basically, oh yeah, we got the must-haves done. They're good enough. Like, we're done with this. Woohoo! We're free for the rest of the term. Or we're going to end early on these sprints. No. All right. The reality is, so let's say if you do a solid job, this is high quality, you're like, wow, solid job on the must-have features. Then there is still the good to have. And then there is still the nice to have. There's an endless amount of work in software. There's a reason there's a lot of people employed and the salaries are so high. We could just keep coming up with work. And in this course, these projects could keep growing and growing and growing. We could work on them for years, okay? At the moment, we haven't even stressed like making it look pretty. But if you get all the good to haves done and the must haves done, and you got some nice to haves done, I bet the next thing on the list will be make it pretty. Let's start doing all sorts of fancy stuff with CSS and Bootstrap and this and that, and okay. There's no end of work on the projects. So there's no getting done with the project early, and there's no truncating and getting your sprints done, with less work and stuff like that, because we're going to look at each sprint and see, did a reasonable amount of value get added to the product on those sprints? So again, just work steadily. And I think a real big thing for your mindset is that there are 4 sprints, not one project. So this is not like a regular course where you're gonna we just gotta build this thing and send it out the door and we'll get our grade. Who knows what our grade is? Hopefully it's good enough, but we're done. You're working just simply 4 sprints. It's like 4 big homework assignments. They build upon each other. They're cumulative. You're improving the product, the project that you're working on. But the idea is 4 sprints. Boom, 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 or whatever. All right, so think in terms of, this is what my goal is. I got to do another sprint now, and I'm going to do a good job. All right, let's do a retrospective. All right, let's plan. Let's do our next sprint. And because this is the way life is for agile teams doing Scrum. It's just sprint after sprint after sprint. There's an endless amount of work, okay? Some other things. And again, I just want to stress, the expectation is a reasonable amount. The expectation is not for you to pull a gigantic amount of hours and things like that. All right. You might not believe me, but that is true. Okay. Some things I want to make clearer so that no one is in the dark about this. You are not allowed to reschedule your stand-ups without my permission. So this is even if you think, oh, well, who cares? We started at 10 o'clock. Like, we're so good, we started early. We're checking your stand-ups to see if they've started on time, to see who's showing up on time, okay? So we need to know when the stand-ups start at. So you can't reschedule them without my permission. Just the same way that if you're at a company, you can't just be like, we just chose a different time without notifying the manager who expected to show up at the meeting. Now, you don't see me at the meetings, your stand-up meetings, because I know you don't want me there, okay? So the same way the TAs don't pop into your meetings because we know you don't want them there either. You want to be able to talk freely, and we want you to be able to talk freely, but at the same time, we need to actually see and monitor what is that the stand-ups are happening and they're having a time, just like we would do if you were here in person, okay? If you were here in person, you'd all be coming into CPH 3681, and I would walk around the room and I would say, I know your team has 7 people. I only see 5 people here. Who's missing? And we take notes of that and we record it, okay? Same thing happens here remotely. Likewise, I already said it, but I'll write it on the board as well. Don't be late for those things. Don't be late for your meetings. Don't skip them either. Especially a whole team shouldn't be skipping a stand-up. Don't do this sort of stuff. You wouldn't do it in the workplace. Don't do it here. Okay? Also, just keep in mind, we haven't talked much about it, but keep in mind that there's peer feedback at the end of the project. There's also feedback done at the end of sprint 2, but that feedback is just for your own benefit and for practice writing feedback. But the peer feedback at the end of the project, that I take as input, a very serious amount of input, to determine the individual component of your project grade, which I believe is set at 15% of your course mark. So, why do I mention that? Because if you're doing a fabulous job and really helping your team be effective and contribute a lot, I'm sure your peers are going to thank you in this peer feedback, and you're going to get rewarded for that when they say, you were amazing, you were so friendly, so nice, so helpful, what a great person to have on my team. They can't wait. They're going to ask you to be doing 4th-year design projects with you and everything. Like, it's just, you were amazing. So excellence is going to get rewarded by your peers. I guarantee it. I see it every year. Okay. Likewise, not contributing is also going to result in an outcome. It might not be the outcome you want because your peers are going to tell me, we never really saw the person, or they never spoke up at all. They never helped. They never did much. We had this problem on sprint 3 where they said they'd get this done. They never got it done and someone else had to do it, or it made us fail to deliver a key feature to our client. Yeah. It's not just peer feedback, but it's feedback to me, 360 around. So keep that in mind. There is a check on what's going on that you might not be thinking about as happening. So we've got 4 sprints, but we also have a final evaluation for the project and for each individual as well. Now that we are at the midpoint, basically, of the course, I think it's a really good time to do some course feedback. And so I'm going to be sending out, you'll see it, Campus Wire. I'll send out, some feedback, a form for you. It'll be simple. I appreciate it if you actually did give your feedback. It'll be anonymous. I encourage it to be constructive feedback so that if I can improve anything in the setup of the course for you, this is what lets me do it at the midpoint of the course. Of course, at the end of the course, you're able to do feedback, course evaluation, but that only really feeds into being able to help future students in future years and adapt things. So I'll send this out today. You know, and I think my concluding remark is, again, I and the TAs understand what a really hard time this is for all of us. Okay, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you as best of the educational experience you can under these circumstances. I really wish we could be in person. You know, I know for myself how hard it is to sit in a chair for so long. It's hard. You can't. It's not as easy. Even now, it's winter here in Ontario to get out and get around. You know, so I know it's not simple, and I know it's not an easy time. And many of you probably have had lots of other things impacting your families as well, whether it's issues with employment or health. I mean, it's a hard time. We're trying to give you the course as it should be. We've put in lots of improvements, we think, this year. But even so, we're trying to be understanding of everything. And so in your feedback, if there's things that you think really need to happen and change to adapt, especially to our remote circumstances, go ahead and let me know. I can't promise that I'll be able to do them, but I'll at least be able to respond in a future lecture to your feedback or respond on Campus Wire and hopefully talk about what I hear from you and what, if anything, can actually be done to change things or to keep things the way they are. All right, you know, so I'm going to basically ask you, you know, a start, stop, and continue feedback, open-ended, and I really do appreciate your feedback on that. All right, thank you.